Pranam, Jai Jinendra. Before we start with the Prarthana today, I'm going to ask you all, please, if unless it's impossible, to switch on your videos, because what we are going to discuss today, I'm hoping will be much more interactive. So please get ready to be participating actively with our discussions and our thinking. We are going to try and explore concepts which many of you are probably very familiar with, but for some of you they may be quite new. So please let's try this. And I know it may, for some people, appear to be much more advanced than what we have normally done in this class, but let's try it out today. Okay. So just prepare yourself, try and get ready, whatever you need to do to later on switch on the videos and be ready. I'm going to start with the Prarthana. Namo Oriyantanam, Namo Sittanam, Namo Ayariyanam, Namo Vatsayanam, Namo Loe Savvasahunam, Eso Panchanamukaro Sappapavapanasano, Mangalanancha Sabvesim Padamam Havai Mangalam. Namo Arihantanam, Namo Sittanam, Namo Ayariyanam, Namo Vatsayanam, Namo Loe Sabbasahunam, Eso Panchanamukaro Sappapavapanasano, Mangalanancha Sabvesim Padamam Havai Mangalam. Namo Arihantanam, Namo Sittanam, Namo Ayariyanam, Namo Vatsayanam, Namo Loe Sabbasahunam, Eso Panchanamukaro Sappapavapanasano, Mangalanancha Sabvesim Padamam Havai Mangalam. Veera Sarvasura Surendra Mahito Veeram Buddha Sansrita Virena Bhiyata Swakarma Nichayo Viraya Nityam Nama Vira Tirthamidam Pravuttamatulam Virashigho Ramtapo Vire Sri Dhruti Kirtikanti Nichaya Sri Virabhadram Disa Angu Kamthe Dharanendra Cha Soshitam Karma Kurvati Prabhustulya Manovrutti Parshvanatha Sri Estu Vaha अंगूठे अमृतवसे लप्तितणा भंडार श्री गुरु गौतम समरिये मनवांछित फलदातार. Okay, let's start. I thought let's go a bit deeper and try and explore. So I think when I was talking with Sandeep about the title of today's class, I meant exploration rather than explanation. So what we are going to do is we are going to explore the concepts about the soul's journey. So the title, From Nigod to Nirvana. Now, I'm going to start asking questions now. So please switch on your videos if you can. And tell me what you understand by the word Nigod.
The hell,
Hell, meaning Narak.
Narak, yeah.
No. Nigod is different from Narak. So one could argue probably much worse. But anybody else?
Nigod is a very tiny atma or jeev, and they take birth within a split second many times.
Okay.
And within that environment, just within that space.
Okay. So getting closer. So Nigod. So Nigod is where we all started our journey. Okay. So Nigod, the life forms that are described as Nigod, as Sheila Ben says, are one-sensed life forms which in a huge number, meaning anant, infinite number of souls occupying one body, and the actual body itself can be extremely small, and each one of them being born and dying, it's said about 17 and a half times within a breath, a very, very short time. So the lifespan is extremely short. It is a combined life form with many, many souls occupying one body, and they are constantly living, dying within a very, very short span of time. And Nigod, the lives of Nigod itself is stuffed throughout the universe. So these are one-sensed life forms, and there have been infinite number of souls within Nigod for an infinite time in the past. And the part of Nigod where we start our journey into the other life forms begins from that point in Nigod. We escape from Nigod to the point at which we are then able to circulate. So as long as we are stuck in Nigod, and there are two sort of sections of Nigod. They're not sort of physically or geographically sectioned as far as I know, but they are, by virtue of their function, they are separated or sectioned. They may be appearing exactly the same, but those in Nigod, where we start our journey into the circulatory part of the universe, is called Avyavhar Rashi. Vyavhar means business. Vyavhar means circulation. So we all start our journey within the Avyavhar Rasi. And completely by chance, completely like winning a lottery, whenever a soul somewhere, sometime achieved nirvana, meaning it went to moksha, then that space, so one soul goes to moksha and one soul leaves Nigod from the Avyava Rashi to get into circulation. Now, the first life form that that particular soul or jiva occupies can vary, but it would generally be a lower life form. It would not be something major. But when that life form escapes Nigod, thanks to one soul achieving nirvana and going to moksha, then that soul's journey begins. Now, nirvana is the destination. Nirvana is moksha. Nigod is the beginning of the journey. That is how we have all started. So, over infinite lifetimes, we have progressed to this level as a life, in life as a human being. And as a human being, the amount of progress that we made just to become a human being is fantastic, because out of the very rare things that one can get in this universe, a human life form is very rare. And it comes after a lot of effort on the soul's part, knowingly or unknowingly, when its virtues are beginning to develop. But that does not necessarily mean that that progress is permanent, that that progress has no setback. Even souls who have acquired or achieved a significantly elevated status by virtue of penance, by virtue of knowledge, if that knowledge is not internalized, if that penance is not along the path of moksha or nirvana, then that soul can fall back and go right down to Nigod again. But when a soul drops down back to Nigod, after having been released from it, it goes into the state which we called Vyavhar Rashi, meaning that from that point, it doesn't it is still in circulation. It doesn't have, the soul doesn't have to wait for another soul to go to moksha, to get to a different level. So from Nigod as a one-sensed life form to becoming a human that is a five-sensed life form, not just five-sensed, but a Sangni Manushyapanam. Sangni means with a mind, so with the ability to think at a higher level. So Sangni Panchendriya Manushyapanam, to get to that level and then make the necessary progress from being a human being, either within that or many subsequent lives, for the soul to then gradually get more and more purified and ultimately achieve the status where it begins its spiritual development. And that development, from the virtue point of view, is described in 14 major stages. Those are called the 14 gunasthans. And the last stage of that is moksha or nirvana. So that journey from where we were one-sensed life forms joined together in one body with infinite other souls in an extremely small body, and we were being born and dying infinite numbers of times within a day, I would think. So it says 17 and a half times Janma Maranam. Within ek swasoswas, Bharat. Yeah. So within one swasoswas, that life form is living, is being born 18 times, dying 17 times. So it's called 17 and a half times. And we are here today as human beings. Not only that, so we have got one of the rarest lotteries. We have also been born or have had contact with the true dharma that shows us the path back to our pure self. Not only that, we have, out of many, many others, we have developed an interest in learning about that. We've reached that far, but then the rarest stage of it all is to then have the desire to act on that interest, to incorporate that into life and become sanyami, meaning either become a shravak or a sadhu, sadhvi. Sanyami really means a sadhu or a sadhvi. And we know that there are two young boys who are doing that tomorrow. And many of us may be wondering, what do they know at the age of 8 or 9? But the soul can be ready at a very young age. And we've heard the story of Ati Muktak Muni, a young boy who one moment is playing up with other boys in a small puddle of water, floating small boats. The children are floating small boats. And this boy, who has become a monk by virtue of his such great devotion to Bhagwan Mahavir's chief Ganadhar Gautam Swami. He holds his hands and becomes a monk with him. And all he needs, he's following the path, but he may not have digested everything. Once, when young children, after a rainy day like today, there are ponds of water on the streets, the boys are floating small toys or pieces that would float on water and say, that is my boat, that is my boat. And this young Muni called Atimuktak floats his own patra onto the water. As a child, he wants to play as well. And Gautam Swami says, well, there are lots of different life forms in this. There are lots of different life forms in this, and you floating this commander or this patra into that causes them harm. So we, having taken the first great vow, would not harm any living being. So what you are doing is not allowed, and please take do prayashchit for that, meaning pratikraman kar. And within a short time, Atimuktak Muni gets so deep into that he ends his life cycle. He achieves Keval Gnan. So children can also progress to that level. So the question that I want to ask is, what is it that determines how our journey pans out? And do we get, if we get an understanding of the changes that we need to make the best use of this human life and climb up a step further, that from this life we will, in our next lives, make some progress towards Nirvana or Moksha. What are the elements that may tell us that we may be on that journey, or that we have reached a level of understanding, we have reached a level of ability to put that learning, what that our Tirthankar Paramatmas have explained to us, into practice. So I see 4 videos. There are many of you. Please, let's make this participatory today. Even if you don't want to, thank you, Ajitbhai. Anybody else? Just switch your mics on and tell me, what do you think? Because there are stories of so many people who have reached this far, not just this far, have actually become monks. And our Guru Bhagwans tell us that we have become monks many times in the past, monks and nuns. That's what I mean. And yet you've fallen back, lost our way. We are lucky that we are back again in a Jain family. We don't know if that is going to last. We know from Bhagwan Mahavir's life that in his life as Marichi, the third life that we've learned about, he lost his way, and for many, many lives, he was just born, and the level of Munipanu, or the level of tyag that he was able to achieve, was like a three-dandi tapas. It wasn't the full-blown Panch Mahavrat. So he actually didn't get back to that path for a very, very long time. And chances are that we have walked that path many times, but we are back here where we are still trying again to find the path because we lost our way. It is quite unlikely that we have not had any exposure. Our Shastras also tell us that many of us, or all of us probably, have been in the presence of Tirthankar Paramatmas and sat in Samvasran and listened to their desna, but we are still here. So what is it? So that's the question. I'm going to shut up now and I'm going to let you share what you want. Anybody. And all we are asking for is your own thoughts. There is no right or wrong answer. There's nothing to be hesitant about. This is not a test of any kind. All this is all of us to explore because we are all in the same boat. We are all, to an extent, searching for ourselves, searching for the right path. And we can only find the right path by asking questions and looking. Anybody? Okay, if that's a very, sorry, Bharatbhai, go on. Yeah.
Pranam Ajitbhai. Jai Jinendra. The important thing is to be on the moksha marg. I mean that is achievement. That is one thing that we should aim for, and for to be on the moksha marg, you need to have samyak darshan, samyak gnan, and samyak charitra, which is the right perception, right knowledge, and the right conduct. And the way to that is by doing by having knowledge of the agams, even though it is knowledge in the sense that it is information in the initial stages, that may help you to achieve samyak darshan, which the information that you had previously to samyak darshan will change into samyak gnan, and that will help you to have samyak charitra to a certain extent. When you have samyak darshan, I mean, that is purna shraddha, 100% faith to start with. Whereas Gnan and Charitra, you'll get it in that will not be, complete, but at least you are on the right path. And that's what we should aim for, as a Shravak or any other, even one is Shravak, Shavika, even sadhu sant and all that. I mean, it applies to all the fourfold, nature of the sangh.
Yeah. Great. So, but if I was, say, a very unschooled pupil who was completely unfamiliar with most of the words that we are using, and he would question that, can you explain to me first of all, and I think this often for a lot of us as well is a fundamental problem. I accept the idea that I am the soul. I accept the idea that I have come from somewhere and I'm going somewhere. What I don't understand is what is it there in Nirvana that I would really want to make an effort for. Now, having gone even this far that I accept the idea of the soul, accept the idea that I've come from somewhere and I'm going somewhere, but I don't understand the concept of moksha. So in those three statements, the final question is, I don't understand the concept of moksha. And we could maybe start explaining that. But long before that, what is the fundamental question that this person is asking and that we are all asking, even though we may not necessarily express it in those terms? So,
Ajitbhai,
yeah.
the way I've always questioned these things is, I don't know, I could be wrong, but it's who am I and what is my purpose in this life?
Mhm.
But I don't know the answers to either of them.
But that is a very important fundamental question. And if you keep on asking, who am I? What sort of answers are you getting? Or what
See, the things that like personally I come up with is I am who I am because of anything that I've done in my past lives.
Mhm.
Um, I'm either trying to get rid of my karmas in this life, but I don't know if I'm going to get rid of them and they're just going to fall into my next life. But whatever I do, I've got to try and reduce the karmas for my next life. But that's the kind of thoughts that go through my head.
So is that Darshana, Ben?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Darshana, I think you opened a door for getting much deeper than what you are actually saying. So let me ask you, when you say that when you ask yourself the question, who am I? You are basically evaluating your current circumstances and your current ups and downs in life, the dilemmas, and forming an explanation. So, what are you really looking at as yourself?
I've not gone that deep into it. I've just
So,
thought of it.
I'm inviting everybody to go deeper. When we are looking at that particular question, and our focus is our current situation in terms of my identity. Who am I? And how deep do we go with that? I am Darshana or I am Ajit. Who is Ajit? Well, then I would, depending on how conceited I am at that moment, I would say, I'm Dr. Ajit Shah. And who is Dr. Ajit Shah? Well, then my conceit may go a bit deeper, my pride may go a bit deeper, and I may go into a whole list of the things that I do in my profession or have done in my profession and where I work and which services I cover and what I've done in the past and all that. So in that description, my focus is on my current label as one. But if, having said all that, if you were to ask my younger son when he was probably in primary school and ask him, what does your dad do? He would say, my dad does paperwork. As far as he knew, all he heard from me was that I'm going to the surgery to do some paperwork. So his understanding of my job was shuffling paper around. So in that respect, my identification with a particular label. Now, is that sufficient? Or is that all that I'm doing currently? No. My son would say he's my father. My wife would say he's my husband. So I'm identified by my profession, by my family connections, by my wealth, by people in this class as somebody who takes a Tuesday class, people on the Wednesday class as somebody who takes the Wednesday class. So we've got several different identities. And if our question, who am I, comes back with these answers, how relevant are those answers?
Sorry, Ajitbhai. Can I can I just say also we are influenced a lot by our surroundings as well. So
Yeah.
we what we are is determined by external events, not by how we might. So when I was a teenager, I would have been influenced by what was around at that time. Because I wanted to be part of that society, right? It's only as you get older you might sort of change a little bit, but even then, um, even then, it's difficult to sort of relate to your past lives or what the future holds, right? Um, um, as I get older, um, I think I have very little life left to sort of influence my next, is my progression, basically. Maybe that's that's how I look at it.
So just on that point, Ajitbhai, if you listen to some great Adhyatma yogis and what they are saying, and I'm just quoting somebody who I listen to, Param Pujya Panyas Labdhi Vallabhiji, who is now Param Pujya Acharya Labdhi Vallabhiji. And he says that this transformation can happen in 1 parasecond. And they all say that moksha marg, meaning the path to moksha, starts with changing your perspective, changing your vision, changing how you see yourself. So our identification with all that is outside of us. So meaning, what we constantly fail to understand is that even though we keep on saying that I am somebody who has come from somewhere and is going somewhere, is currently occupying this body, but our identification is constantly with this body and everything else that is attached to it. And that is the fundamental fallacy, the fundamental problem with our vision of ourselves. So in fact, we are deluding ourselves we have got hold of the untruth and we are holding on to that untruth because we see fulfillment there. But that fulfillment, even though our experience of that fulfillment is that it is temporary, we attach to different fulfillments. As one gets fulfilled, we soon find something else, and then we soon find something else. So we are all looking for fulfillment, but where does that desire for fulfillment come from? Because we are all trying to find fulfillment in things that have no ability to give us any lasting fulfillment. And where should the soul be looking for fulfillment? Outside or within itself? We're all seeking happiness. Every living thing is looking for happiness. So where should we be looking, Bharatbhai?
Within the soul.
Within the soul. And if you are looking within the soul, does it have everything that you truly desire?
Yes.
Yes. So the answer is yes. So then, why do we not look within and constantly look outside? What is the fallacy there? Why are we focused on everything that is outside of us, that is always temporary? Why do we not look within ourselves?
Is it because of the bondages and all the karmas which we've acquired, and it's within?
That is on an external level, that is true, but the fundamental fault is that we are not looking inside. We have not understood who we are. We have not accepted the idea that full fulfillment lies within ourselves.
We can be Can I speak?
Yes, of course. Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
Who is it? Sorry.
We can be fulfilled inside all the time if we are contented and at peace with ourselves, because we have to concentrate or focus on what we are doing. If we are communicating with somebody, we have to show that we are listening, or we have to focus, or any type of work we are doing, we have to focus on that. So we have to become part of that. We have to interact with that situation. But if we remain contented, at peace with ourselves, and think about ourselves all the time as to how my behavior is, or how the behavior should be, that is how we should always work on that.
Yeah, I agree. But that level of detachment and that level of, so Muni Bhagwan, Sadhujis, their role throughout the day is about focusing on their inner selves. But even there, it does get quite difficult and people lose their way. The focus on the inner self, if it becomes an effort, then is anything that you got to make an effort for, is it natural or is it unnatural. So in the initial stages, you would have to make efforts to move from that attachment, that engagement, to come out and to go within. But at some stage, what is your gut feeling is that if we are saying that the soul's fulfillment lies within itself, should it come with effort or should it be there just naturally without any effort at all?
I think most of the time we have to make an effort.
So initially you'd have to make an effort, but ultimately,
to work on it.
yeah, but ultimately,
and we can slip away from that as well.
okay.
So we have to be aware all the time, and we have to work towards that. We have to work with all these Marganusari's virtues all the time. Or if we are really following as a Shravak or Shravika, we have to follow those rules and bear them and work on them all the time.
Yeah,
and we can slip away as well, but we still have to just go on working hard towards those virtues.
Right. So
I think basically, if we ask the same question to someone else, like from another religion, who believes Christianity or Muslim or something like that, in terms of who am I, they would just say, like the physical elements of it, because they don't know, well, most of them don't believe in next life, because they haven't seen it. And similarly, those of us from young age or whatever who haven't come across our principles, haven't learned about our principles, they would say the same thing. And because we are experiencing all this physically, like you know like say for example, you go to school and all of that. You say I'm this because you're experiencing whatever you are at the time. You haven't experienced past life, you haven't experienced, you don't know anything about that. So therefore it's a bit difficult to understand that in terms of, and that is why unless more effort is put into that, that won't come naturally to you. And that's how I see it, because like you said, these small boys, age 9 or 10, they're becoming munis from their past life, and they've got that. It's continued into this life. But what I'm trying to say is, if they become munis from a very young age, and they're trained in terms of getting experience in all the agams and all these things from a very young age, uh, after a certain time, it will become more natural for them and become easier for them in terms of grasping that that belief, and that to go into that line. I think that's how I see it, because it's like the more you practice something, the more you gain knowledge and experience in that kind of field. That's how I see it. And obviously, initially it comes with more practice, but the more you practice, the more you become knowledgeable and practice.
Yeah. And all that is true. At the beginning, we all have to make an effort. But what I'm trying to get to the point is that the fundamental problem or the fault is with the focus or the direction of our vision or our sight.
Yes, and that's what I'm trying to say here, because as I said, you are all your life you haven't seen past life. You can't remember your past life, so you naturally go back to your current situation like you are, or you what you remember in your life, what's happened to you, how you progressed and so on. It's your experience. That's what you remember. You don't remember your past life. So therefore, every time you try and go into your inner self, your to focus onto yourself, onto your soul, you come out and basically go back to your current situation, like and go back to what you experienced
This is,
in this
yeah,
lifetime. So unless you practice on the principles, like it's within you and all that, and you try and grasp all the things you have to do and so on. Unless you practice on those things, you it's difficult to progress in that line, because just because you are constantly experiencing in this life, not in your past life or anything. The concept of past lives and going into future life is there by what we've learned, but to put into practice is a bit difficult, and that's what people find difficult practicing it, because currently they are not experiencing that. That's what I'm trying to say.
yeah, no, I understand, Sandeep, and that is where you think that we have a problem because we do not remember our past lives. But there are many, many souls who have remembered, and there are probably many currently as well in this life. And I'm not just talking about human beings. There may be a lot of Tyrians who remember their past lives. So
Yeah,
that,
and yeah, and basically, for them, and if they are, like if they follow our religion, like Jain, and these principles, they would understand more than us that this is, I've remembered my past life. Now my future is this. I have to do this. It will be more focused on that than me. I mean, I don't remember my past life.
yeah,
That's what I'm
yeah,
trying to say. In relation to this person who remembers their past life and they're following the same principles.
yeah. No, I accept, and to an extent, that is where we all see a problem, but I'm asking everybody to go a bit deeper beyond that and look at the fact that we, we've been to Devlok and Narak many times. Every life in Devlok and Narak tells you about what you've done in your past lives and past life, and then you have the ability to actually go and seek any knowledgeable people and ask about those questions. But even though we've been to in those places many times, we've not progressed. And the fundamental reason why our progress has stalled or not gone further is because our understanding of our completeness of our true nature, even though it may have gone as far as understanding the principles by, say, for example, Agam, it is also said that souls like Abhavya, who will never go to moksha, can learn up to can learn and remain monks at a very high level, but they may never achieve the understanding that helps them progress towards moksha. So that failure to grasp our true nature and to understand that everything else that is outside of us is what keeps us going on the path to moksha and keeps us constantly circulating in sansar from one life to another, because our fundamental acceptance and understanding, not just at the level of intellect, and not just at the level of accepting that as a fact because it is something that is written in our books, but going to the level at which you are experiencing that. And as Bharatbhai said at the beginning, Samyak Darshan means that experience of the duality and the distinction between the soul and the body. And let me just read this. It is from the last page on the book that we are following for our Wednesday class. That's Anandan Chuvisi. It is after the appendix that those of you who attend the Wednesday class know that I've been talking about off and on forever, the appendix at the end. And the title of that, to an extent, is what the title that we got today, Nigot the Nirvana Sudhi. This final page, and I think we will carry on with this conversation next week, but thank you very much. All I'm trying to do, and I know it's very difficult to open this door, and we need to go much longer to explore this more deeply. But just listen to this. Tell me, I mean, there are many words here that you may not be familiar with, but I'll try and explain the basic concept, and then we'll explore these things further next week. The page is titled Dvait and Advait. Dvait means duality, Advait means singularity. Singularity means completeness, natural, swabhav. Swabhav means what you are. Swabhav means as you are. Now it starts like this. The title is Dvait, Advait. ક્રિયા છે તેથી કંપન છે. એના પરિણામે ક્ષેત્રાંતરતા અને રૂપાંતરતા એટલે કે પરિભ્રમણ અને પરિવર્તના છે. So in that sentence, it talks about the fundamental reason for our journey from life to life. ક્રિયા છે તેથી કંપન છે, meaning we are active, we are acting, we are responding, we are reacting. Kriya means response, reaction. Teti kampanche, meaning all that starts with a disturbance. Kampan is disturbance. Ena pariname, as a result of that, kshetra kshetantarta ane rup rupantarta, એટલે કે પરિભ્રમણ અને પરિવર્તના છે. And as a result of that, because of that instability, we are moving from life to life. Matej Gupti. Now, a sadhu Bhagwant conducts what? Mano Gupti, Vachana Gupti, Kai Gupti. When we say Panchindiya, the virtues of our Acharya Bhagwans, Guru Bhagwans, the 36 virtues, पंचिंदिय संवरणो तह नवविह बंबचेर गुतिदरो चौबिय कसाय मुक्को ये 18 गुणे हिम समझितो पंच महावई जुतो पंच विहायार पालन समतो Panch Samiyo Ti Gupto. Ti Gupto means Man Gupti, Vachan Gupti, Kai Gupti. Man, Vachan, Kaya, Gupti means to control. Gupti means to not let them become free. માટે જ ગુપ્તિ એ સાધના છે. That is why withdrawal from all this is a way of progressing. અને સ્થિતિ પરમ સ્થૈર્ય એ સિદ્ધિ છે. Now, the word sthiti means to be as you are, meaning going back to your true self. Sthiti param sthairya. Sthairya means to stay still. And our Guru Bhagwans use the word that as you progress, you become quieter and quieter. And they describe this as maun, meaning the more centralized you are, the more within yourself you are, the more still you are, the stiller you are. And that is the first paragraph. It starts with Kriya che tethi kampan che. Stillness and vibration. So our goal is what? Our goal is stillness. Our goal is to stay within ourselves. And the reason for our sansar from one life to other is કંપન છે એના પરિણામે ક્ષેત્રાંતરતા અને રૂપ રૂપાંતરતા એટલે કે પરિભ્રમણ અને પરિવર્તના છે. પરિભ્રમણ એટલે કે life after life, પરિવર્તના એટલે one life to another. Now, the true fundamental qualities of the soul. પૂર્ણ એવો આત્મા. પૂર્ણ એટલે complete. The soul is complete. પૂર્ણ એવો આત્મા આજે કરવાપણાના ભાવથી કર્મ સંયોગે. પૂર્ણ means I am complete. I don't need to do anything. I am totally complete in myself. I do not need any activity. I do not need anything. And when a soul reaches that stage of that understanding of Samyak Darshan, and we've discussed this in our Wednesday classes, somebody who has developed high Samyak Darshan like Krishna, like Shrenik Raja, like Sulsa Shravika, even though they are engaged in activities on a day in and day out, Darshanabai and somebody were telling us that we get engaged, we try and progress from there. Even though they are engaged with those activities, they are actually separate from them. So it is possible to go through life doing everything that you need to do, but remaining detached from that. And that, in many ways, is the fundamental message of Gita. પૂર્ણ એવો આત્મા આજે કરવાપણાના ભાવથી કર્મ સંયોગે અપૂર્ણ બન્યો છે. So we are complete in ourselves, but because of our desire, karvapana bhavati, our desire to keep on doing. Why? Because we seek fulfillment elsewhere where it does not exist. And therefore, we acquire karma. Karma sanyoge apurna bane છે. And that is why we are incomplete. Because we have engulfed ourselves and covered ourselves because of the choices that we've made, because of the direction in which we have been moving, because of our ignorance, not understanding our true nature. Akriya evo sakriya banyo છે. The soul in its pure form, in moksha, at Nirvana, does it do anything? Or is it constantly steady and completely happy in total inactivity? And this is one of the things that we find very difficult to understand. What is the point of moksha when you are not doing anything? That is the whole point. You are complete. You don't need to do anything. અક્રિય એવો સક્રિય બન્યો છે. આત્મા એના સ્વભાવથી અક્રિય છે એવો સક્રિય બન્યો છે. અકંપિત એવો સકંપિત બન્યો છે. સકંપિત સ્પંદિત, સ્પંદિત કંપિત બન્યો છે. અકંપિત meaning it is totally still. It is completely at rest. But in this changed form, in this impure form, we are constantly restless, vibrating. નિસ્તરંગ એવો તરંગિત બન્યો છે, meaning instead of being completely still, we are તરંગિત, like તરંગ waves. નિર્વિકલ્પ એવો સવિકલ્પ બન્યો છે. We are completely at peace, no thoughts, but we are constantly thinking, this is right, this is wrong, this is what we need to do. That vikalp is the constant flow of thoughts that goes on, and deeper inside in our unconscious mind, the reactions that we experience with everything that goes around us. Nirihi, nirmohi, vitragi, mohi, ragi, dveshi banyoj. By fundamental virtue, our constant swabhav is vitragi, meaning no attachment, no hatred. We are completely vitragi. So our Tirthankar Paramatmas, all our Kevli Bhagwans are vitragi, meaning we don't have any rag and dvesh. That is our true nature. But what do? We constantly attach ourselves. We are mohograst. We are ragi and dveshi. Okay. Nirahari evo ahari banyoj. Does the soul eat?
No.
No. So the fundamental quality of the soul is it does not need any nourishment because it is complete in itself. It does not depend on anything outside of itself. But can we go without a meal? Yes, many of us here are going without meals. Many of us here, like me, are eating 3 times a day. But by fundamental nature, we are what? We are anahari, nirahari. But in this life that we occupy one after the other, we are constantly seeking nourishment. We are constantly seeking food, whichever life we occupy. Maybe to a greater or lesser extent, but we are constantly hungry. And how much time do we spend thinking and preparing for food? 3 meals a day, that's all we need, but we do that. But in addition to that, we live our lives just trying to get 3 meals a day, but a lot more. And that is why we keep on going within life, from one life to another. જ્ઞાની એવો અલ્પ જ્ઞાની અજ્ઞાની બન્યો છે. By nature, the soul is completely knowledgeable. Every soul knows in its fundamental nature everything about the past, present, and the future of everything. But our knowledge is limited in the current form that we are. Okay. I'll end there. There is a bit more. I've just read half a page. I hope that this was of some use. I know I'm leading you into very deep waters in some ways. But I'm hoping that in those deep waters, you will see the light. The light is the answer to the question, who am I? Okay, enough said. Anybody wants to this is an exploration. We are going deeper. We are trying, and we are all lost. I am lost too. But we are seeking guidance from the knowledgeable people who are giving us sermons, knowledgeable people who have written books, knowledgeable people who have digested the teachings from our Tirthankar Bhagwan and the Ganadhar Bhagwans, and are constantly interpreting the great sastras for us. And there is a huge amount of literature that is constantly being explored by our great Muni Bhagwans all the time. And they try and convey that to us in the language that we understand or we may understand too, in the hope that we move a bit further along the road to our emancipation. And since we've all come to this point where we are interested in this, then let's try and get a bit deeper into that interest. Okay. If I've said anything that is against the teachings of our Dharma, the Tirthankar Paramatmas and our Guru Bhagwans, I ask for forgiveness. Jin agna viruddha kai padambulyo ho, te savi hu, manochan kaya kare tasmichhami dukdam, sarvamangalamangayam kalyana karanam, pradhanam sarvadharmanam, jainam jayati shasvam. Thank you all very much for listening, and I hope it wasn't painful.
Thank you, Ajitbhai.
Pranam, Ajitbhai. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jai Jinendra
Thank
to all.
you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ajitbhai.
Thank you.